Hey traders, in this video I want to do something different. I want to review Apple, and I'm also going to review Google as well too, and I'm going to review it basically from going back from the start, and hopefully this is also going to help you learn some technical analysis of reading charts, so therefore you can maybe it's going to help you read your charts better. So anyway guys, let's get straight into it. Do not place a trade based on what you're seeing in this video today, because trading is risky and it can cause substantial financial loss. There are so many areas you need to become good at to become a good trader. Emotional mastery, chart reading, trading systems, money and trade management. So this video is just educational only to help you become a much better trader. Alright, so I'm going to review two different stocks here in this video, Apple and Google. And I want to do this because it's also going to help you understand also how to read the charts a bit better when you're looking at the smaller time frame, the bigger time frame, and all that sort of stuff, and how it all ties in together. So let's move into Apple first. We're going to start talking about Apple and what Apple is all about, and what I see on Apple. Now, the first thing I do see is so many traders view their charts like this, where it might be only a couple months worth of data. That's about it, maybe even 3 months worth of data. And I used to trade like that. Maybe in 3 months worth of data, they can see that through there. And it's not really, sometimes I've seen traders try this. It's like, oh, look at the upper, look, it went up. It's like, you know, guys, over my years of trading now and being involved with the markets, it's something that I've definitely learned, that if you're trading a daily chart, the first thing you need to do is look at the weekly chart to get the bigger picture, what the bigger picture is telling you, okay? So go to the weekly chart. The weekly chart is the bigger picture that's actually telling you what's going on. And what we can identify is the parameters of this market. So the first level that I do see looking at this market and looking at Apple is that we can start to see that we have a decent trend line coming down, possibly through there somewhere. I'd say, yeah, possibly through there somewhere. We can see we have a resistance line through here, coming down from the highs or connecting on through there. And so we can see that. Now we can also see, if we go to on this side, we can see that we actually have a whole bunch of support and resistance through there. But also just above it right now, we actually have a whole bunch of support and resistance going on through, possibly through there somewhere. Do you see that there? So one thing we can see that this whole area through here, from this bottom point through here up to this top point through here, maybe even a bit higher, maybe even probably up to that point through there, is a whole bunch of area of resistance. So that's the first thing we can identify. Okay, we're identifying major areas of support and resistance levels, and we can see the next, after breaking past this level, the next support level is actually down here. So if Apple still continues, next level is probably going to be down about 20%. But that's the first thing I do see. So the first thing I do see, guys, is that by looking at Apple, we can see, just by identifying the major areas of support and resistance, we can identify these levels through here. Okay, that's the level we can identify, and we can probably identify this whole area, which it actually did come down to. This whole area, this low point through there, is definitely an area of support. It definitely had a lot of areas of support through there. So, but I don't want to have that trend line there because it just creates too much havoc. Too much on the screen. And so we can see that's what's happening through there. We've got a moving average and all that sort of stuff on the screen, but we don't need to worry about that at this time. We're just looking at the charts, okay? So that's what we can see on the charts. Now the next thing we can actually identify, if I'm looking on the screen, is that we can see that this Apple is clearly making a big head and shoulder formation. So I'm just going to make that light. I'm going to set that as default, and I'm going to make this here. I'm going to see this left is top here as well too. And then we can see this right head here as well too. So now we can actually see that there's a bit of a head and shoulder. And the way that I identify that, if you're not sure about that, is I just like to squeeze the chart up, and I'll just like to see where the overall flow is actually going in these stocks. See, it's not about the short-term movement. See, this is one thing I learned a long time ago when trying to read charts and trying to view charts. If we have, like for example, in Apple, for me, the big swings is what I'm looking for. Okay, the big swings. So if we have like a swing like that, and like this, and like that, and like this, and I had a little pull up, and then we had a pullback through there, and then the market continued up like that. So to me, what I'm looking for is I'm looking at the major swings in the markets, because the major swings in the markets are telling me what's going on. It's not the short little ones. Now the short little ones will help you on the short term, but if you're trying to get a bigger picture of that market that you're looking at, such as Apple, well then you start to see, okay, cool, we had this high through here, then the market ran up. As you can see, the market ran up through here and then had a pullback. It ran up through there and had a small pullback. It ran up through there, and you can see it had a pullback. It ran up through there, went sideways for a while, and then had a pullback through here. It actually went as low as through there, but that was the flash crash. Then the market ran up through there, and it went down through there. So as you can see, by drawing the stick figure on the charts, by even drawing lines on the charts, it gets you a good overall flow of what is happening in that stock, what is happening in that market at that time. And as you can see, by viewing this chart, and by viewing it, you can actually see what's going on. So let's actually open this chart up a bit more, and I'm gonna make my trend line really, really thick. And for you guys that are beginners and trying to read the charts, this is really gonna help you when identifying the overall swings in the market. So I'm gonna make this width really, really, really thick, and I'm gonna change the color to, say, a different color than blue. Let's make it a we'll just make it a black, okay? Because it's a black chart, we'll just make it a black. So the swings, I want to start from this swing low through here. You've got this small little up and down, but I'm looking for the overall flow of the market. So we can up, and then down, and then up, and then a little pullback through there. Not much. Up, a nice pullback through there. Now remember, we had these little pullbacks through here, but that's what I'm after. Market runs up, goes sideways for quite some time, and then pulls back through here. And the market runs up through there, and then pulls back through here. And now it's running back up through there. So as you can see, right, by looking and identifying the major swings in the market, these major swings, as you're drawing this line on the chart, it starts to give you, if you've got I'm not sure, I don't think you can actually do this with the actual software, the TC2000 software, but if you've got like a screen capture software or something like that where you can draw thick lines on there, well then do that, because that's going to give you an overall good view of what that market is all about and what's actually happening with that market itself. So that's the first thing I do say. The next thing I want to say is that you want to identify the overall major peaks and troughs in the markets. So you can see we had a trough through here, and we had a peak, we had a higher trough, we had a higher peak, we had a higher trough, higher peak, higher trough, we had this higher peak, slight little high trough, and now we had this little pullback through here, came up, made this low peak, now we're making a lower trough, and now we're running into this area of overall resistance level through here. Now, no one knows what's going to happen, but if we're looking at the probabilities, okay, let me make this a bit thicker. If we're looking at the probabilities, this is the resistance level now. If we're looking at the probabilities and we're seeing, okay, the market has gone from higher peaks, high troughs to lower peaks, lower troughs, and the market's running into an area of resistance on Apple, then what is the probability of what's going to happen on this stock? Is the probability more A, that it's going to shoot higher and keep going up? Or is the more probability likely for it to hold and keep going down? I will say it's likely to hold and keep going down over the weeks to come. And why do I say that? Because the overall market is showing us head and shoulder, which is a big topping pattern. It's broke back down, it's come back up into this major area of resistance. And so for me, looking at Apple right now, to me, Apple is getting in, it's come back down, it's created a low peak, it's run back up, it's getting into this area of resistance. So I'm not saying we're likely to head down straight away. We may get a little bit more upside. Okay, we may get a little bit more upside into this area of resistance, even as high as sort of like 110, and then maybe come down and then maybe have a decent pullback. So as you can see, guys, by looking at this chart, it gives you a much clearer picture. If I take everything off the screen now, you can just see the chart itself. Make sense? So that's what I want you to look out when identifying the overall areas of major support and major resistance as well too. So yeah, there we go, guys. That's obviously one technique that I like to use. The next one here I'm going to talk about is Google. And Google, the same thing. I'm going to look at the weekly chart, but I'm going to be talking about something different in this video as well too. Okay, so what is that different? What is that thing that I'm going to talk about that is different? What I'm going to talk about in this video is looking at the strength in moves, because sometimes the strength in moves is also a very good candidate as well too. So if I no, I can't do that. I'm just looking at the chart now, see if I can blow this up. No. Alright, cool. So by looking at Google, okay, by looking at Google and by identifying what's happening with Google, let's do the exact same thing, right? Let's go up here. We have this swing up, swing down, swing up, swing down, swing up, little pullback, and then a blast off, and a pullback, and a blast off, and then a pullback. Oh, that was probably through there. A run up, a pullback, and then a blast off, and then a pullback, then a blast off, and then a pullback. And now it's trying to blast off. But the one thing I want to share with you now is the strength in the moves of what is actually happening in this particular stock in Google. So Google's actually been trying to run up through here. So we can see that the market's making overall higher peaks and higher troughs. Okay, we can see that. We can see that it's making peak, higher trough through here. So it's major higher trough through there, major higher peak, major higher trough, major higher peak, major higher trough. Okay, so it's making major higher peaks and higher troughs on the chart. So that's actually what's happening with Google. So, but the one thing you want to identify with Google is looking at the strength in the moves as well too. So this is more of a next level chart reading technique. So if we have a look at, say, Google right now on a weekly chart, if we have a look at it and we squeeze it up a little bit more, we have a look at it, we actually can see that the buys this time are much weaker than the few other times. Now what I mean by that, if I get my little Trendline tool again, you can see here we had a big buying move, and then we had this sort of weak selling move, and then a big strong buying move, and then we had, what do we have here? You can see how this overall selling period was a lot stronger, and see how now the buyers are very, very, very weak. So we have this strong buyers through here, and then we have this weak buyers, and then we had this strong buying period again all through there, and then we had this selling period. But look at this period through here now. This period through here now is actually showing us, it's actually showing us that the buyers are a lot weaker than they have the last couple of times. That to me is a warning sign that weakness could be coming into the market. And by looking at this chart and by looking at what's actually happening here, if I take everything off the screen and view it a bit more of a on a close-up view, you can actually see what's actually happened with this stock overall. We can see that we had this run up through there and rejected off, run up through there, rejected off, run up through there, rejected ough, and now we've got this sort of weak buying through here. So let me actually now identify the small little peaks and troughs. So we have this pullback through here, run up through there, pull back through there, run up through there, pull back through there, and then a take off, right? A little high trough. We take off up through there. Okay, and then we have a pullback through there, we have a make a little high, we have a pullback through there, we make another slight little high, pullback through there, and now we're creating this like little bear flag formation. Do you see that? So you can actually see how this overall area through here, if you have a look at this whole area, this whole area through here is a major areas of resistance through here, and also this area through here where we are right now, because you can see that this market had a lot of problems getting through there, a lot of problems getting through there, and it had, and obviously broke through there, but that's the area of resistance. So by identifying Google right now as we speak on a longer term time frame chart, we can actually see that the buyers are losing out right now. Why? Because as I was saying before, that they're very, very, very weak. Now if the buyers were strong, like they were the last couple of times, what would happen? They would take off like they did through here, and they would take off like they did through here. See this? Okay, bam, 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 all the way up. Now look at this very, very sideways choppy action in this time, or this phase, or this buying phase. Even this phase was a lot stronger overall than we're viewing right now. So even though the market's trying to push higher, Google for me right now is showing weakness because the buyers are losing strength. And if you look at the last couple of legs, this last leg down, this last selling leg to this last buying leg, we're actually now seeing that this could be potentially turning into an overall bear flag and be heading down. But not only that, but you can see by the strength, we're getting stronger sellers, weak buyers, to me equals more strong sellers. So I actually have a bearish view on Google for now. If it starts breaking above obviously 760 and then obviously heading up, then obviously that's going to change. But that's where I'm heading right now. That's my view on Google right now, guys. And I hope you enjoyed this video. There's just a few chart reading techniques to help you no matter what time frame you're looking at. Hey, it's John Howell here, and thanks so much for watching my video. You see, I'm putting out daily videos and education on helping you learning the art of successful trading. So click on the subscribe button to keep up to date with every video I do. Also, check out my story video, $250,000 in debt, cancer, overweight, family passing away, lived on the streets, and more, and how I overcome it and now thriving through my life. This is here to motivate you, so click on that image to watch my video. And lastly, if you're struggling with your trading, then you need to see my latest webinar where I'm sharing with you an amazing strategy that allows you to generate an income without getting the direction right. So click on that image on this page to register for my next free webinar. This is John Howell here. Remember, success can be yours if you go claim it. So step up, take massive action, and face your fears today.